Hi gang, this is Ajax in Vlog 21. Well, it's a little bit of a somber vlog because we are back from vacation. As you can see, we've shifted climates. I am now in my winter gear. So before I get to the trip back, I'm gonna mention two things that I forgot to talk about on previous vlogs. The one thing, I don't know why I forgot to mention this, but when we went to the Lion Country Safari on Thursday, the lorikeets. Remember, Tammy? The lorikeets? The lories, as they're called? Mm-hmm. Not Hugh Laurie, star of House, but Laurie, short for lorikeets. Anyway, I love lorikeets. Just a couple months ago, when we were at the Newport Aquarium, I had encounters with lorikeets, but one of the lorikeets knocked over my little nectar feed bucket, and it was like a waste. And only one little lorikeet landed on me. Well, at the Lion Country Safari, I went into the lorikeet domain, and the guy, who reminded me a lot of my step-grandfather, Ray, that's right, step-grandfather, Ray, kept telling me that they're opportunists. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Opportunists? My brain couldn't handle such a large word at the time. I was enamored by the birds. And so I kept trying to do this little thing to get them to stand on there like a perch, but they wouldn't come to me. So I had to purchase some nectar buckets. I actually just purchased one because they were $2 tax. But anyway, so I picked one up, and he said, you won't have any problem getting them to land on you now. And so I took the nectar bucket, held it out, and they flocked on top of me. I had one land on my head, one on my shoulder, that was the nectar bucket. One land on my shoulder, one land on my little perchy perch and drink out of it. And then they were fighting on my arm over the nectar bucket that the other one was already eating. It was a great experience. But anyway, okay, so that's one thing I forgot to mention. The other one, Friday, when we were laying poolside, weirdest thing happened, okay? Me and Tammy are laying out, sunbathing, soaking up the rays, and not my step-grandpa. The rays, actual sun rays. Anyway, so we were in the sun, and a bee landed on the top of my thing. Tammy whacks it with a towel. It's not dead, it's just stunned, but it doesn't fly, so it's walking around the ground. All of a sudden we see a gecko sneak up, bounces over there. The gecko was awesome because it kept doing this thing where it would look at the bee, look up at me to see if I was going to grab the bee or grab the gecko, look back down, look up at me. And then right then and there, he made his move, ate the dead bee, which wasn't dead, just stunned, and took it back to his tree and ate it. It was the coolest thing ever. Okay, so those are the two things I forgot to mention. Now the trip back. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we left Lake Worth, Florida at about anywhere between 9:30 and 10. I don't know that's approximate time. 9:30 and 10 a.m. Saturday morning, okay, which was 11/15/08, November 15th, 2008, 9:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. It was 85 degrees, okay? 85 degrees when we left. When we got back at approximately 8 a.m. on Sunday, November 16th, 2008, Oxford, Ohio, 29 degrees. What? Yeah, that's right, 56-degree difference. So, some of the things we saw along the way. Lexington, huge burst of heavy snow in Lexington. First time we see snow all year, and it's in Lexington, Kentucky. What? It was weird. There was some sleet action. It was craziness. But we also stopped in our favorite little location, Orlando. Maybe you've heard of it. I picked up some sous vides. I got me a sous vide, a little hat I can put my finger through. Isn't that awesome? It's what I call my my pea stump hat. Maybe some of you will get that. He's the lead singer of a little band called Fall Out Boy.
For that one.
I don't care.
For that one.
Oh. All right, but anyway, it's fun. It's a fun hat because you can put your finger through it, or other items like a rose.
But you have a hood on underneath it.
Oh, I do? I thought I took it out.
No.
Oh no. See, like this? I didn't take it. Oh wow. There. I'm stupid.
Now it looks better.
Okay. Well, anyway, what was I saying? Oh yes, Orlando. So we stopped and we did some mini golf because we were gonna mini golf the night before, but the space shuttle took up all of our time because we were amazed by the space shuttle. But actually we didn't feel like golfing Friday night, so we did it in Orlando, at our favorite Hawaiian Rumble golf place, which was under renovation, but it's okay because it was still nice at the time. And yeah, so we stayed there for like 3 hours. We kept getting off and getting back in the car because we were regretting having to drive back. But I have no regrets about seeing the amount of egrets I saw. That's right, egrets, birds. They're really cool looking. You see them along the side of the road. Tammy's getting aggravated with me because it's taken too long, and you as the audience probably are as well. So I will summarize our trip back by doing a little song to kind of show you how our trip back was. Here we go. Well, we drove, and then we got off, and we hung out, and we like looked at stuff. And then we drove, and then we got out again, and we kind of just were like, wow, let's go into Orlando and mini golf and like get Suvi's like this cool little hat. And then we drove, and we got some food, and we got back into the car, and we drove, and we had to like use the restroom. It goes on like that for a little bit, but I'll get to the real picture that kind of happened like later on once we just were like, let's drive. And then we drove, and 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 then we had to get gas sometime, you know, around there. Then we drove, and 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 it keeps going like that for about 3 hours, and we finally made it. So I'm back. Now what's crappy is I have to go back to work. I am not thrilled about that at all. Tammy's getting impatient with me. So I'll summarize by saying we had a wonderful time, and I hope that we will someday move there.
You were still white.
Within the next... I'm white. Tammy got all the sun. She's peeling right now. I mean, she's always been appealing to me. Alright, I'm sorry. That's stupid. Bye, y'all.